Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I am host Kirk, Louie, Aspiras, and today we're going to talk about this. Eh? Phones. That's it. That's the entire show. I'm just kidding. Welcome today to this very beautiful day. Today, we are going to talk about something that has touched every single business, every single brand, and every single talk about the future of commerce. Commerce. I'm sorry, that's a big word. Let me simple it down for you. Commerce is a system of trading goods. There. So we are going to talk about something that involves all of that. Brands, businesses, and the future of commerce. What could we possibly be talking about? Drum roll, please. How Gen Z actually consumes, spends, and makes meaning online. Welcome to today's beautiful podcast, Digital Consumerism and Gen Z 2026. Once again, my name is Kirk, Louie, Aspiras, and today we're joined by three other guests.
My name is Chris Lawrence Morata.
Benz, Atienza.
And I'm Ervin Dave's Jacob.
So, Benz, what do you have to say about this? How Gen Z spends their time online?
Today we're gonna talk about generations nearly spending 7 hours a day on a media. And that's before you add in laptops and gaming. The way they shop, the way they build trust, and even the way they relate to money. It's fundamentally different picture from generation before them.
Yeah, and what makes this particularly interesting is that in 2026, we Gen Zs are basically much richer than the rest of the previous generations before us. And this is what we call an inflection point, where Gen Z, the spending power of Gen Zs is basically projected to hit $12.6 trillion globally in the next 4 years in 2030. But there's one key play in this. 69% of Gen Zs are still actually living paycheck to paycheck, and this tension between them and us shapes everything about how us Gen Zs consume media and digital.
And actually, we've got a lot to unpack today.
Yeah?
Everything from media habits, shopping behaviors, and the rise of dupe culture, and the mental health side of all this.
So where
There's a-
should we start?
But before we start that, let's all start with something simple: screens. Because if you really think about it, almost everything in digital consumerism starts there. Our phones aren't just tools anymore. They're where we scroll, we shop, compare, and even decide what we want in the first place.
All right, thank you for that, guys. Thank you so much, dudes. So, dudes, let's start off with the basics. Screens again. First of all, and foremost, Gen Z, once again, as stated by Chris and Benz, spends a staggering roughly 7 hours a day on social media. And here's an even funner fact: 89% of that are dual screening. What does that mean? Same goes with dual wielding, pretty much. They're using two screens. Maybe one is watching show on Netflix or whatnot, and then the other is texting or calling. But stats do prove
That
89. Yes, it's
that seems
insane.
unhealthy.
Dude, don't even get started with unhealthy, alright? But it's insane. And then what I'm trying to say is, for anyone trying to reach this audience, because we're talking about consumerism, right?
Yeah.
So any brands, any businesses trying to reach these people, this context clue really matters. The fact that they're dual wielding, right?
Wait, Kurt, there's something I want to add on that.
Sure.
Actually, live TV is essentially dead for this group.
Really?
Yeah, only 14% watch more than 2 hours. Imagine 2 hours.
Good.
Yeah. What? That's only for watching live.
Damn.
Daily, okay?
Damn.
Then 38%, none at all. So the default format is short vertically video, which is TikTok, has 64%. That's much bigger than the other formats.
Damn.
While Instagram Reels at 55%, and YouTube is right behind at 54.
Dude.
So like basically short form content has basically taken over the digital world in terms of videos. And what I also find most compelling about that is that the trust dynamic of the Gen Zs compared to the internet personalities and the traditional celebrities that we used to have. 52% of Gen Zers say they feel closer to social media creators
Oh.
than TV personalities.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, Kirk.
Sure.
Can you name me a social media personality?
Who? Influencer, Mr. Beast. I
Yeah,
really
Mr.
like
Beast.
him.
I know him.
Yes.
And can you also name a TV personality, like I guess from Hollywood?
Personality.
Oh,
Hmm.
I'd say Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I like
Yeah.
his acting.
Oh,
Yeah. Especially in Jumanji. Dude, I love that guy.
But
Yeah.
what do you notice more when you're using internet? Who do you see more
Dude,
in terms?
it's just as you said. I feel more open, or I see Mr. Beast now way
Yes.
more than The Rock.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Just a social media personality. And also to add on, the 61% prefer brands that work with creators over celebrity endorsement. Basically, the Gen Zs are more like they prefer social media creators to be in sponsored videos
Dude, now I get
compared to
it.
celebrities.
Now I
like,
see. Now I know why Mr. Beast pops
Yes.
up everywhere.
It's always everywhere, and that's a complete reversal of how marketing has changed over time compared to 10 years ago.
That's true. You used to see so much more actors than compared to YouTubers on
Yes, we
like,
can't deny it.
chocolate.
Influencers.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to shopping, Gen Z is extremely mobile. Literally. Around 80% shop online using their smartphones. And that means everything from browsing to researching to actually paying for it.
80%. That's
Yes.
almost like just your phone is the mall itself, right?
Yeah, and it actually starts on only one device. But here's the interesting part of it. Physical stores aren't dying like people expected. They're
Ah.
actually making a bit of a comeback, you know.
Wait, but that doesn't make sense. If they shop 80% of their phones, then doesn't that mean that the supermarkets are gonna die out?
Not really, but there's been about a 10-point increase in Gen Z planning to shop in person more.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's not random. They actually want to feel the product, experience the environment itself, and sometimes, just take advantage of in-store promos.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
I get what you mean so much. I get it now. The path to purchase nowadays is non-linear. What do I mean by non-linear? They might discover something like, Sir Peter, he had that cup, that when you pour water or
yeah.
beer
It
on it
lights
and then
up.
it lights
Oh,
up.
yeah.
A lot of
I
people
saw that.
nowadays might go to a shop and then compare the prices in app. So that's why supermarkets haven't died down. Okay, let me give you another scary statistic. Social commerce in the US alone this year is on track to hit $100 billion
Really?
by the end of this year. Yes, that's scary.
But despite everything we hear about Gen Z's values, sustainability, ethics,
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
I mean, price is still number one. That's the most mentionable word that we hear.
That's true.
Exactly 51% says price is their top priority or consideration on necessities. More than 79% wait for sales. And I think 21% regularly pay full price.
So it's kind of funny that even though Gen Z is way different from the older generations like millennials, the first thing we still check today are still prices. That hasn't
Yeah,
changed
of
much.
course.
Yes. I mean, we can't deny it. When something is for sale, we always have
Yeah, we always like were tempted because
think
oh
about
look,
it.
it went from 300 to now 150.
150.
Oh, that's
It's a good marketing trick. So, so after you guys mentioned about online shopping, sales, now let's go to the money habits of Gen Z. There's something called BNPL that means buy now, pay later.
ah,
And it has basically overtaken credit cards for this generation, and
really?
it seems like yes,
Wait,
54.
that's actually on Shopee, right?
Yeah, BS.
Yes,
Buy now, pay
it's
later.
basically everywhere, even in Lazada or TikTok Shop. They always
I
give
see
you
that.
those deals that you can get it for much cheaper if you pay later, I guess. And 54% use that BNPL over the holidays versus 50% who use credit cards. So I guess credit cards are dying now. But 57% of Gen Zs that choose the buy now pay later options actually missed their payment today
Wow.
in 2026. And even though it was marketed as a smart no interest tool, it's actually creating a problem for corporations.
That's
It's basically
true.
a financial strain, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And even with all that spending, Gen Z is actually very strategic about it. Almost half use cashback or loyalty apps about 42% of the Gen Z compare prices before
Dang.
buying them,
That's true.
And only around 13% of the Gen Z don't use any saving tools at all. So, while they might look impulsive for us, from the outside, there's actually a lot of calculation happening behind the scenes.
How
Basically,
come?
you know, they're working on tight budgets, but
Oh,
they're making the most out of it by saving.
that's true.
Alright, guys, I have a question for you all. So, Chris mentioned about buy now, pay later.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you think about it, what if Gen Z cannot pay on that day? Like, there's a specific schedule or day. What's
That-
gonna happen then?
Really? What does happen?
That's a question that I'm trying to look forward.
I guess it works the same as credit cards where, for example, if you have a credit card and you pay at there's a specific date you need to pay for the money, right?
Right.
For the things you bought.
Right.
And if you don't pay it, then
Then
they will
you're in debt.
terminate. They will
Oh,
terminate
okay.
everything that is connected to your account, and
Yo,
it
that's
will
true.
suffer for you long term because it will cost, like, if you want to open another credit card or another bank accounts, you have this reputation of not paying in time, and that's basically a problem if you do that as you ask. That's what I think.
Now, to really further understand and absorb like a sponge in our brains all of what we just said, and to peel down the psychological layers underneath all of this, we actually have a special guest today. We have Juliana Tagupa, and we asked her on her end because she is a specialist from our end, and she's been tracking data on dupe culture, screen time and such, mental health, and the bigger shifts, the bigger picture on all of this, and how Gen Z constructs identity.
Exactly. Juliana, what did you find?
Thank you, everyone. Let me start with something that looks like a shopping trend, but is actually a cultural statement. Dupe culture. 82% of Gen Z plan to buy cheaper alternatives to luxury goods during the holidays. But what's driving this goes deeper than saving money. Buying a luxury good is a way of reclaiming access to an aesthetic that was never meant to be democratized. It is not just a product purchase. It is a statement about who gets to participate in the visual culture. I'll share something personal here. Last December, I was eyeing a designer bag online, the kind that usually costs more than a month's rent. Instead, I ended up buying a dupe I found through a TikTok creator. At first, I thought it was just about saving money. But when I carried it, I realized it wasn't just about the logo at all. It was about feeling part of a style conversation that was otherwise felt close up. That moment really drove home for me how dupes aren't just purchases. They are about access, identity, and belonging. And this is not just about bags or clothes. I have seen friends buy dupes of skincare, headphones, or even furniture. It is not about pretending to own the real thing. Instead, it is about saying, I deserve to participate in this culture, even if I don't have the budget for prestige. And for me, that is a powerful shift. Brands are noticing. PwC's global retail leader put it plainly. If Gen Z does not see value immediately, they will trade down into a dupe. The loyalty ceiling is lower than any previous generation. It is about value, not prestige. At the same time, second-hand shopping is booming. 68% of millennials and Gen Zers now buy pre-owned items, and Gen Z specifically shows an 8% higher preference than other age groups. And here's the key. Second-hand is not seen as a compromise anymore. It is a preference. It is sustainable, it is unique, and it is often more authentic than buying something brand new. Now, let's talk about screen time, because the data here is genuinely alarming, and it matters to everything else we have discussed. In 2025, average daily smartphone screen time for Gen Z hit 7 hours and 43 minutes. That's up nearly 5% from the year before, and it does not even include TV, tablets, or gaming. Health experts recommend no more than 2 hours of recreational screen time per day. Gen Z, however, is doing more than just 3 times that, just on their phones. And the mental health data is direct. Depression risk increases approximately 13% for every additional hour of daily social media use. Gen Z averages around 2.5 hours of social media daily. And honestly, I have felt this myself. During the pandemic, I was averaging 8 hours a day on my phone. I remember one night scrolling endlessly, and when I finally put my phone down, I felt drained instead of connected. That was the first time I noticed how my mood shifted with screen time. It made me realize that the numbers we are talking about aren't abstract. They show up in everyday exhaustion and how we feel about ourselves when we log off. I have also seen the other side. A close friend of mine deleted Instagram for a month, and she told me it was the first time she felt like she was living her own life instead of watching other people's. That is the tension here. Gen Z knows these platforms can be harmful, but they are also the spaces where identity, community, and opportunity are built. 91% of young women aged 16 to 24 say social media negatively affects their mental health. Nearly half of Gen Z Americans have already received a formal mental health diagnosis, and yet 86% say they are actively trying to reduce screen time, with only 14% saying they are comfortable with their current usage. The awareness is there. The ability to change it is another matter. This brings me to something broader. How Gen Z constructs identity now. Identity is no longer fixed. Different platforms, different spaces, different communities allow for different expressions of self. A consistent singular identity is no longer the aspiration. Adaptability is. And consumption reflects that directly. What you buy, where you buy it, and how you share it, it is all contextual. I have seen this in my own life. On Instagram, I present a polished version of myself, curated photos, highlights, the best angles. But on Discord, I am a completely different person. Casual, unfiltered, joking around with friends, and neither version is fake. Both are me. And that is the point. Gen Z does not feel the need to collapse those identities into one. Adaptability is the new authenticity. And this flexibility shows up in consumer behavior too. One day it's a thrifted jacket, the next it's a dupe of luxury sneakers, and the day after that it is a digital skin in a game. Each choice is an expression of identity in that moment, in that space. One last thing worth naming is 4 in 10 Gen Zers globally say it is all real to me when describing the digital and physical worlds. The line has disappeared, and almost half say they have formed a meaningful relationship with an AI. That is the fundamental redefinition of connection and companionship that we are only beginning to understand. So when we talk about Gen Z consumerism, we are not just talking about shopping carts or screen time. We are talking about identity, belonging, and the way digital life has blurred into physical life. It is about how consumption becomes a language, a way of saying who we are, who we want to be, and who we want to connect with. And if there is one takeaway in this, it is Gen Z isn't just consuming products. They are consuming meaning, and every purchase, every scroll, every share is part of how they build identity in a world where digital and physical are inseparable. And that is all for my part. Thank you.
Wow, just wow. Thank you so much for that, Juliana Tagupa, our special guest. That connection between dupe culture and the identity of oneself in this generation is really just something else. To be honest with you, now that I think about it, it's something that gets overlooked so much now. Isn't that right? That's something that gets buried down now. But thank you so much for um, diving deeper into that and showing us how important that is, because it's not just the thrift. It's not about the thrift in the dupe culture. It's not about just the thrift, but it's about a value statement. Is that
I
right?
see that.
Yes.
Well, and the screen time data setting,
Bro, that was beautiful, bro.
I know. Alongside with the mental health data,
Yeah.
guess what, guys?
What?
You can't separate those.
Yes.
Like
You
in
really
this generation that grew up with these platforms, guys, understand they are a problem, and largely they cannot step away.
I mean, yeah. That's
Imagine, like, that's this is a structural issue, not a personal failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Wait,
guess.
before we continue, right? Now that we're on the topic of thrift and dupe culture, now that you guys want to share your experiences, because personally, I have been heavily involved with this. No, the fact that we're talking about this stuff, but as Gen Z ourselves, I myself, I'm so personally involved in this dupe culture. And as Juliana explained, it's not just about the thrift; it's the value of it. It's the identity. It connects with so much. As you were saying, Chris.
Yeah, and for anyone watching this from a brand or marketing perspective,
Wait. You're helping the big boys, the big brands.
I'm just saying, what if they're watching this podcast? Think
Yo,
about it.
Nike, hello, what's up?
Yo, Adidas.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us. We need some budget.
Yeah, what
But-
about that?
The takeaway about this is trust. Is basically the entire game with this generation. You need to build basically
As much
a-
trust. Yeah.
Yes,
You need to be reliable as a
because
big.
most of the communities or what Gen Z is actually like is that they're fragmented across private circles.
Wait, hold on,
What does
pause.
that mean?
What does that mean? Fragmented
Yeah, I don't get that
across
word.
private niche.
Basically, there's specific type of Gen Zs that only like a specific thing, and the people that also like these specific things gather around. So it's not just
so it creates
all
like
in one.
these niche spaces, right?
Yes.
That's what you're trying to say. Okay.
So and basically niche spaces, and most of this they see through the prices or the pricing, and as we discussed earlier about celebrities and social media
They completely skip that.
personalities, yes, they skip the
just
celebrities.
completely-
They don't.
Yeah. Dang. Okay.
I mean, if you compare it to back then, we used to have advertisements that include real traditional celebrities. But now, as the Gen Zs are more prone to using TikTok shorts, YouTube shorts, they favor more of the creators in social media where they actually feel a real relationship with, because most of these social media creators have this kind of raw and something that you wouldn't find in a Hollywood actor's personality. Like it feels raw.
That's true.
You get what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I feel
And
I
more
get-
creative, right?
That's what
Yes.
that's what you said. I guess.
They keep
Like,
on entertaining
Yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah. That's with Mr. Beast compared to
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And
the way-
they
yeah.
like incorporating humor to this stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I see.
This is also their way of buying their way into loyalty.
makes so much sense.
You
Yeah.
have to earn loyalty if you are a big marketing brand.
That's true. Because a lot when it gets suspicious, it gets to a point, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And, you know, honestly, I can relate to that.
You can?
Yeah.
What do you mean
I'm
you
as
can
a,
relate?
as a student, I'm already a part of this kind of digital consumer culture.
What does that mean?
You know, I'm also a buyer and also a seller.
Really? What do you sell?
I make handmade bouquets. And
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Can you send me a pic?
yeah, sure.
Oh wait, you did here. Wow, Ervin really does make handmade bouquets. If you can see that on camera,
Can we
we'll
see
flash.
it?
We'll
Can we
flash
see
a picture on that
Can we see
later
it?
on the end. Dude, that's
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool.
Oh,
okay,
okay.
continue on your speaking.
So beautiful.
So you're a part of both buyer and seller. Right?
Yeah, and I've seen how much digital platforms actually help small sellers like me reach people
Dang,
that
yeah.
who actually buy, and it helps me promote these products and build something from scratch. And at the same time, I also aspire to be one of those person who get into buy and sell, specifically in the field of bicycles.
Oh,
So for me, it's
I'm looking forward to that.
yeah. So for me, it's not just about spending money,
Yeah.
It's also about understanding how the system works and how people choose what to buy and how I can be part of that space in the future. Which it really shows that Gen Z isn't just consuming. You know, we're also creating, we're also adapting and finding ways to grow within this digital economy itself.
Now, that actually sounds like a great and amazing note to close on. Thank you so much, once again, thank you so much, Juliana Tagupa, for our special guest this wonderful day. Thank you so much to my peers. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We will be closing it today. And once again, this was a podcast of Gen Z and Digital Consumerism 2026. Once again, I am Kirk, Louie, Aspiras.
I am Chris Lawrence Morata.
Benz, Trophy, Atienza.
And lastly, I am Ervin Cabug.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for listening to our podcast this wonderful day. Links and sources to everything we referenced today are in the show notes. Thank you so much, and see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.